Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today's video is going to be a part two to my Sean Connery collection. Now, I found these three other films that I had of his that I forgot I had, so I couldn't put them in the first part. But the first film, if you put it in order, okay, the first film will be A Bridge Too Far. Now, this was a remake of The Longest Day. This came out in 1977. And it's got everybody in it. You got James Caan, Michael Caine, Elliot Gould, Gene Hackman, Anthony Hopkins, Lawrence Olivier, Ryan O'Neal, Robert Redford. They had everybody in this thing. And if it just a now this was a longer version of the longest day. No, okay, this was shorter. The longest day was 3 hours, 180, yeah, 180 minutes. This is only 176 minutes, so this was shorter. But it was the same. It was the same kind of movie. It just they changed a little bit. And I don't know if the book was faithful to this one or The Longest Day. They had the book, but the guy that did the Longest Day storybook would alive to look to put his hand in The Longest Day, the 1962 version. I don't know if he was a kicking when the 77 version came out. But this was a really good movie. It had a bunch of action in it. Sean Connery, I think this time he played an American soldier this time instead of a Scottish, like he played in the original one. And the funny part about he did both versions, The Longest Day and The Bridge Too Far. So he's the only actor to come back to do the original in a remake of his movie. I don't think no other actors had ever done that or actress. So he might be the first and only person to do that. And then our next one, and that was a number one hit movie too, made a lot of money. Is Meteor. This was a disaster film about a meteor hitting the planet Earth. Now this film was a big flop. Sean Connery hated this movie. He tried to pretend he never made it, and Henry Fonda pretend he never made this film. A lot of people on this try to pretend that they didn't make this movie at all. And every time a fan tried to talk about it to the actors, they didn't know what the film was talking about. But to me, it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't as best as all the other disaster films that came out, but in the 79, they made like 4 or 5 disaster films, and it was kind of cheaply made. And I don't know if this was the last of the disaster film, or was it more before this to be the last one. So this is Meteor, and then the last one in my collection is Never Say Never Again. Now this was his last James Bond film, and this was a remake of another James Bond film called Thunderball. See how he did it? He made two movies. He made one in '65 and one in '83. And this one knocked off Roger Moore Octopussy. This one made more money than any James Bond film from the first one to 1983 one. Cause Octopussy came out in June of 1983 and made a lot of money. And then Sean Connery came out in October of 1983 and beat Octopussy royalty. He made so much money, and no one since 1983 did that. No James Bond movie. Now they made a lot of money since then. And if Sean Connery had stayed to do all the other James Bond movies, maybe James Bond would have made a lot more money than it did. So Sean Connery had a lot of power, you can say. 'Cause Roger Moore with the new James Bond, who came out in '73, was making a lot of money. Then he had a competition with the old James Bond, and didn't work out for him. And just this this is just an update version of Thunderball. And this was I don't know if this was longer or shorter, and it was kind of a weird movie. If you could find it, I say buy it just for if you want it in your collection. Now, to buy this movie on DVD or Blu-ray, you're gonna be paying a lot of money for this film. This film can cost you between $29 to $100, and that's the same DVD and Blu-ray. So this is a collector item. Even the VCR tape costs about that much nowadays. Now I bought this VCR tape. See, when did this come out? Yeah, I bought this thing about 20 years ago. So it wasn't popular when I bought it. So now this thing is a gold mine. Now you can still buy this movie at Best Buys because when I was at Best Buys about 2 years ago, they had this movie for like $9, and I don't know if it's still $9 now because now that he's no longer kicking, they might try to raise the price. So these are my last three Sean Connery movies, and I know they're probably not the best Sean Connery films you could say I have of his, but in my but for me these were the good ones. All the James Bond, that cowboy film I showed you, the longest day, uh, a bridge too far, a meteor, and another, and never say never again. I have, and the Anderson tapes. So I have the kind of the beginning of his movie career in a sense, and kind of the last, kind of his kind of unforgotten movie that he did that people don't remember too much of. So, and if you've seen any of these movies that I had showed you, leave it in the comments and tell me what you liked about them. Have you seen them at theaters, TV, or if you never, or if you've seen, or we got other movies that you like to put, leave them in the comments too. So please like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day. I'm gonna have another video coming out real soon.